Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a new webinar by Catenda. I'm your host today, Julien Benoit, Head of Customer Success, and today I will introduce to you a new feature called Document Approval, and I will describe the document approval workflow inside Bimsync. We are here together for between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on the pace. To start with, I wish you a very good year. I hope you are all safe and healthy, and I hope we have a great time together today. So, what do I mean and what do we mean at Catenda in document approval inside Bimsync? The first thing is that why? Why do we implement such a solution inside the tool? We would like to implement a solution for our users so that only approved documentation is provided to the project participants, which means we want to avoid that wrong documentation, outdated documentation goes into the wrong hands, which means it will lead to mistakes on site. So to avoid that, there's a setup in place now. We've been improving Bimsync in the last years around documents. And now we have this first iteration of a tool that introduces a workflow. So it's a bit more complex. There's a lot of things I need to express and explain. I won't go into full details with everything, but I will give you, I hope, the best understanding of the principles and the concept. And then you can always refer to a tutorial video I made earlier and some other documentation. So before going directly into the tool itself inside Bimsync, I need to express the intention we have in terms of workflow. So I will use this view to express what's need to happen and what's need to be done inside Bimsync so that you can benefit of this document approval feature. So first off, a document approval feature is an action you need to make inside the platform. That's the intention with this create new. But prior to this document approval, there are steps to be made so that you can actually use this feature. So starting with the document status workflow. So you need to activate statuses in your project for documents. It's not by default setup because some of our customers are not using the document area with statuses, so it's not necessary to make it over complex for them. So it's on-demand activation. So I will show you how that works and what you need to do so it's active. So that's the intention with this document. You need to set document status in the setup phase so that document status is active. Once you've done that, you will have to upload what's called a document draft. The intention, once you have statuses, is that your documents will exist in two stages in a way, a draft stage and a published stage. And each document will be uploaded as a draft, and these drafts can be included into a document approval. Also, this document approval, we wanted to have it as specific, I would say, as possible, which means there's settings attached to a document approval, and the result of a document approval will be published as an issue inside Bimsync. And in order to achieve that, there's a few steps to be taken so you have the correct setup for your issues to be done. So there are 3 steps. Have an issue board for your documents related issues. They will use a specific issue template, and that's a new area also, having the ability to make inside the document approval setup templates for your issues. And also set the approval settings, which means depending on your choices, a choice in the approval process will initiate creation or not creation of some issues related to the documents. I won't insist now on this. It will make more sense once you see the tool in the flesh. On the right-hand side here, you have what we can describe as a workflow. So once you've initiated a document approval, in this process, you need to select publisher. That's the person in charge of closing the document approval, and that will decide as the status and the state the document will live. So some documents might be rejected, some document might be published, etc. And you will also determine what people will be in charge of reviewing. Two roles here, publisher and reviewers. Once you've done that, you will validate your approval, and people will be notified through the Bimsync interface that they have an action to do on documents. And the decision they have to make here in the decide area will be either to approve the document with comments, or reject the document. And based on these actions, some automation will be activated. But at the very end, before the publication of documents, the publisher will decide what happens to the document. Are they published? Are they rejected? What the status will be for them, etc. So this is the document publication. And from this action will be, depending on the settings, issues will be automatically created depending on the approval settings, so that you can track and keep track of what happened on those documents. And finally, the documents that have been published and validated in this workflow will be issued into the document system as documents revision, official approved revision. So some might consider it complex, some might consider it simple. That's the first step we take into this workflow for approval of documents. And I will refer to this schema in a way several times during the presentation, so you can see where I am in the process. So with no further ado, let me show you how it works in a demo project that I set up, and I will explain how it works and the intention behind it. So first off, as you remember here, you need to activate the document status workflow. How do you do that? In the documents section of Bimsync, there is here in this hamburger menu a library setting. And in the library setting, in every project in Bimsync, you will find this status workflow. And in the beginning, the first time you have your project open, it's not activated. So you will find a button that says activate status workflow. And then once you've done that, you will find a similar interface as I have here. And that's the first step, because as you can see, several statuses and colors are in place. And this belongs to either draft documents. So for instance, work in progress and shared will be set for draft only. And the three after those, published, rejected, and approved with comments, will be assigned to only published documents. And of course, you can edit them, you can change the name, you can change the color, you can add more, right? And these statuses, this is what you will find on the final documents in a way. As you can see here, I have 4 documents, and I can use this inside the filters as well to sort my documents and see the approve with comments documents. I have 2 of those, and this is the status that is on each document. So you see here is the status, and in the list view, this is the status as well. Right, that's the intention for statuses. It was also existing prior to this approval workflow. That's the first step to be set. Activate the document statuses. Once you've done that, you need to upload a draft in your project. So to do that, I will go in a specific folder, and I will use the little plus button, and I will pick a set of drawings that I have on my machine. I will use those 4 drawings. And in the box here, there will be a little banner telling you, you are uploading draft. They will need to be published to become a revision. And if I check that, then I can force to publish directly revisions and not draft. So as you can see, you have the list. You can update the name if you wish. You can also set a different status on the files. And if you're happy with that, you can just press upload. Once you've done that, as you can see, this is flagged as draft only. It's not a published document. And if you look up, you see here that there's a proposal to say, hey, we see that you've published new documents as draft. Would you make a new approval request out of those? So I will say yes, and I will click here. So now I am in here. I am in the create new document approval. So I will start here, but as you will see, there are a few steps to be taken so that it works. So first I will set a title. Here we go. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I will have to set a publisher. So I will set myself. So in the demo, it will be easier for me to take actions. You can select the due date. And you can select reviewers. Again, for the sake of the demo, I will just pick myself as the main reviewer. There's a setup to pick a minimum of your viewers. If you decide that you need at least 2, 3, 4 people to review your document, you can set this here. You can make a description of what you want to achieve with those. And then you find at the very end the draft for the documents. I will say submit. And then it will open a new window that is the overview of the approval with the setup at the top, the review button if you want to review in batch, like review all of them. And then you see that each of those documents are pending approval. That means the people in charge have been notified, and now they need to come on the document approval and review each of those documents. Now that I'm here, I need to give you some clues about this approval settings, and I will do that right now. So as you can see in this approval setup here, there's this button, approval settings. When you click here, you see the publish options. So in here, we are in this approval setting. So what options do you have? When a file gets a status during the review, it will be either approved, approved with comment, it will expect an approval, it will be pending, or it will be rejected. You need to decide, once the document is published, what status will be applied automatically to the document. So remember, that's the first step. You need to use the statuses first. So then you can choose what status will be automatically assigned to the document. So it's very logic. I made publish for the one that are approved, approved with comment for the one that are approved with comments, no status on the one that are pending, and the one that are rejected will get a rejected status. And you can leave it here. But what we introduce with this workflow is that we also introduce the issue template, which means in the case of a document published and being approved, there will be no issue creation. In the case of document being approved with comment, there will be an issue created that will look like this. It will be the name of the issue automatically created. You can set that up. It will go into the issue board documents approval. It will have a status as open, which means you need to take care of it. And it will have a type approved with documents. And you can set different sets of things here. Pending approval, no issue, rejected. You will have another type of issue that will go, because I chose to in the same issue board, but you can choose differently. And you can set this issue template from here. So if you're not happy with the one that already exists in the project, you can create a new one. So you give it a name, you choose what you need to have as a title, and then you can select what issue board it will push issues to, and some other details. So I won't validate now, but you get the idea. Again, if you want to see the full process in details, you can go back and refer to the tutorial video that is available on the YouTube channel of Bimsync. Reminder, YouTube channel, you can access the video tutorials here, right inside the user interface. Okay, so once you've done these 3 steps, approval settings, issue templates are created, and you know in what issue board you will publish your issues, you can proceed with the approval itself. So in the document section, if I get completely out, you see that now we have this new button called approvals. When you get in here, you see the list of these approvals. You see their status, so some have been published already. You know the list of reviewers, so when you have several of them, or like many, you can filter those and find the one that you need to review. Clicking again on the approval, you see the documents and who is in need to approve it. Look, it's myself here in this demo, but if you have 3 or 4 customers or users, sorry, that needs to review the documents, they will be flagged here in this little pop-up. So how to review a document? Very simple. You click here. You will get the document preview with the usual viewer inside the Bimsync documents. And you will see on the right-hand side the ability to comment, approve, or approve with comment. So you can act on the document here. So let's say the first one, I will have a look at it. I can just check the document, review it, take some notes, take some measures eventually, and that kind of stuff. And once I've done that, I'm happy with it. It just approve. So everything is logged, so you know that what has been done by who at the very end. So I did the approval on this document that day, and I will move on to the next file. And this one, I will be a bit more picky. Maybe I will have a look at it and I will make a comment. So that means I can use the annotation, for instance. So I can make a little comment here. And let's say that I need more details in this corner. Done. So I save my comment, you see? So then here I will have, I will have the ability to approve with comment. Right, so now the document gets a new type of status during the approval. It's approved with comments, and my annotation on the drawing is set to be a comment. Of course, you can set type a comment. You can do other things like that. Moving on to the next, the third file. This one I will probably reject. Something is off, so I can either do a comment or not, but I will decide to reject this file. Boom, it's saved as well. If I'm not done, but if I go back to the approval, how does it look like? The person in charge of setting this approval will be able to review where it is in the process. So I see that I got 2 out of 4 approved. I can see who did what when, so I see that I approved myself, I approved with comment, I rejected, and there's one that is pending because, I don't know, no time, I'm out on vacation, or I'm too busy to take care of that. So now I can be the publisher. So the date is due, I need to do something with the document, so I need to publish them. So I can either approve them all and like say, because that's me and I can do that. But I can say also, okay, I will not wait for this guy. I will say force publish. And then I will need to decide what I want to do with the ones that are not approved. So you see, publish one approved draft, publish one approved with comment. It's a green light. But what do I do with the pending and what do I do with the rejected? So what I will do is I will publish the rejected draft and I will not deal with this one. I will just forget that one. And press force publish. So now that means the approval process for this one, like this approval, is closed. If you go back to this view, you see that it's not open, so it's published, right? And what happened with the issue creation? So now if I go to the issues in the document approval issue board, I will find, you see, demo for webinar and 2 drawings in the back. One that has been rejected, one that has been approved with comments. And what does it look like? You find in this issue the documents attached to it and the settings we set earlier in this issue template creation. Right? So now we are here. I decided on the document, on the publication for the documents, and we are looking at the issues that's been created automatically. If I move on to the next issue, I will find the correct type and I will find auto-generated from, so I know where it comes from. And then I also find the annotation I made, so I can keep track of that. And I also see the documents attached to it. So nothing is lost, we keep everything. If you decide to, you can keep everything and keep track on everything on your document approval. And if I click here on the annotation, I jumped directly to the annotation on the document, and so I can follow up on what happened next in a way. What happened to the last documents? If you go back to this approval, for instance, you will see that the approval isolated the draft that has not been published and remained a draft, which means there will be a need for a new approval to finally publish these documents. And that's a choice I made when I close the publication. So when I decide here what will happen, I said that the document that was forgotten in the process in a way will not get a revision. So that's why it's still here. And if you click on this document, you will see that it's this is in the approval, and the file in the document will see this is still a draft, right? It's not a published document. Also important to know, for you to know, because it's part of the draft published process in a way, the draft documents are only visible for people that have write access inside a folder. Which means if you want to filter out people that shouldn't see draft at all, because they need only to deal with approved documentation, you can set the rights on their team or on them as individuals that they have only read access to this folder and they will not see that there's a draft in here. That's the way to ensure that we provide the correct approved documentation to project participant. That's why we have this introduction of statuses. So, that being said, you can then create as much approvals as you want. You can decide different approval with different publisher, different not publisher, but reviewers. And you will be able, doing so, to publish or ask for people to publish draft and then organize a workflow that will allow you to say a new document has been published, it's a draft as long as publisher plus reviewers didn't decide on it, and the decision will then create document revision. That's what we call in Bimsync right now document approval workflow or document approval process. So it's a lot to digest, I would say. It's quite an intense setup for the feature. So again, if you need more help and time, of course, you contact us anytime and we will take care of you. And also, maybe worth spending some time on the video that I made here at the very bottom. You have a Bimsync tutorial about document approval. It's the complete process to give you all the steps that you need to have this feature available for you. And of course, provide feedback. Tell us if you like it. Tell us if you need improvements. My team and I are here for that. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this webinar today, and I wish you a very good day and see you in the next one. Bye.